Hello, my name is Thomas Williams, and this is my final capstone presentation for my Master of Social Work degree through Renison College at the University of Waterloo. So before we get started, just a little bit about me. I am a 25-year-old white man born and raised in Miramichi, New Brunswick, and now living, studying, and working in Halifax, Nova Scotia. My life has changed from being considerably northern, rural, and Catholic to decidedly southern, urban, and gay. In terms of credentials, I have an honors psychology degree from Mount Allison University, as well as a BSW from Dalhousie. I'm also a first generation student, meaning nobody in my immediate or extended family has ever set foot on a university campus, so completing degree number 3 is definitely raising some eyebrows. But it's a neat party trick. Throughout my master's, I've continued to work at Ronald McDonald House with sick children and their families. I have also been volunteering at the Halifax Sexual Health Center. I completed my MSW practicum at the North End Community Health Center, which is where I took the stunning picture of myself on the right, all decked out to avoid bed bugs during home visits. In terms of my capstone project, I had 3 primary goals. First and foremost, I wanted to make sure I was drawing connections between theory and practice. Secondly, I wanted to tie in and touch on all 9 of the social work competencies we discussed in the course. And thirdly, I wanted to make it look good. So based on those 3 criteria, I have settled on designing a series of posters, one related to each of the competencies, which I'll work through on the following slides. Competency 1, identify as a professional social worker. We know that social workers can wear many hats. As you can see on this first poster, I've listed a small sample of different roles that I've personally experienced in social work. While having a broad skill set or a large hat wardrobe is imperative, it's also important not to try to wear all of our hats at the same time, lest we break our necks or burn out from overextending ourselves. Along those lines, I also could have worked in some other phrases like overworked and underpaid, but I decided to keep this one on more of the positive side of neutral. Competency 2, adhere to social work values and ethics in professional practice. I feel as though ethical concerns were a recurring theme in this master's program, and indeed in the field of social work practice itself. Here, I've essentially dressed up the 6 core social work values portion of the Canadian Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics. My intention was just to take those basic principles and translate them onto something that was aesthetically pleasing. I think this would work well on the wall in my future office, or anyone else who might want a reminder to keep their practice ethical. Competency 3, promote human rights and social justice. This one is fairly simple, yet elegant, of course. It's a quote from Lily Tomlin, who, in addition to being an actor and comedian, is an activist and champion of causes like LGBT rights, workers' rights, and higher minimum wage. I always wondered why somebody doesn't do something about that. Then I realized I was somebody. I think this mentality can be really empowering, not just for social workers and their own promotion of human rights, but also the general population. Clients who see these words may feel inspired or empowered to push for changes in their own communities. Competency 4, support and enhance diversity by addressing structural sources of inequity. This was fun to design and certainly one of the more elaborate pieces in the set. It's a menu of sorts of social work services offered by my MSW placement agency. The menu plays on a lot of the strengths and challenges of community level social work, where the boundaries are often not as clearly defined as in other places, hence starting things off with a large serving of coffee and schedule schmedule. I've incorporated humor into this one as it's one of my primary coping mechanisms in stressful situations, both personally and professionally. And it can also go a long way in terms of building rapport with both clients and colleagues. Competency 5. Employ critical thinking in professional practice. Here's one theoretical model that's been very helpful to me in a number of different settings. The stages of change have assisted me in understanding a client's approach to change, or non change, as the case may be, but has also been useful in gauging family and friends' attitudes and beliefs. Some solid examples of this include when people have less progressive views on addictions or immigration. In order to be a more effective agent of change, I need to recognize where they're at. What would be helpful in supporting someone at the action stage isn't of much use to someone who's still at pre contemplation. Competency 6. Engage in research. Here is a brief summary of a research project I conducted at my placement. My project was part of a larger one studying food insecurity in the North End community of Halifax. This component involved conducting qualitative interviews with service providers in the community in order to gain insight into their perspectives on the issue. As you can see, the quotes on the right side highlight themes like current resources, inadequate governmental supports, and better coordination of services in the future. A big takeaway from this experience is that research is not just something we do in conjunction with social work, but research itself can be social work. Competency 7. Participate in policy analysis and development. As I mentioned earlier, I've been involved with the Sexual Health Center since the beginning of this degree, so the two experiences kind of go hand in hand for me as part of my learning. I initially started volunteering there to get more involved with the trans community and learn how to be a better ally and support. The design of this poster is the trans flag with the center's hormone replacement therapy policies written over it. As you can see, it can be quite convoluted to access these services, but this is actually one of the easier and most trans affirming places to receive them. We definitely still have a lot of work ahead of us to increase accessibility. Competency 8. Engage in organizational and societal systems change. This one is a little tongue in cheek, or sigh and throat. Call it what you will. It was a cathartic exercise to unleash a lot of the frustrations I'd experienced in social work, particularly during my MSW practicum. So many of the clients we served at the clinic were receiving income assistance, and none of them were getting anything close to an adequate amount to cover their needs. This draws attention to the balance we must strike as social workers between advocating for justice and not biting the hand that feeds us, even if it is feeding us a really meager portion. Community level advocacy was a big component of my time there, and I'm really proud of the accomplishments some of the groups have made. As a side note, I have not personally presented this award to the provincial government at time of posting. Competency 9. Engage with individuals, families, groups, and communities. Acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, is a third way of cognitive behavioral therapy. Though related to CBT, it differs in many key ways. I participated in ACT training throughout my MSW degree, and it resonates with me because it centers the importance of value driven actions. Rather than encouraging people to change their thoughts, it shows them how to work with their thoughts, holding the negative ones in place and still working towards the things that are important to us. While obviously a tool for working with others, it's also helped me in working on myself, something we are constantly doing in this profession. And that brings us to the end. I hope you enjoyed the show and maybe even learned something. I know that I certainly did. I look forward to A, your feedback, and B, completing this degree. Thank you for your time and consideration.